What's up guys, it's me. If you're new to this channel, I'll let you in on a little secret. The only reason I have a moderate amount of subscribers is because of a video I made a while back, where I talked about Ben 10 toy watches. As a result, I have a poor subscriber to view count ratio because a bunch of kids who only care about Ben 10 are subscribed. I don't really care about the numbers since this is just a hobby channel where I talk about whatever I want, but I thought, you know, that Ben 10 video is the only video on this channel with over 1 million views. Why not celebrate that milestone with a sequel? In the first video, I had one watch from each of the 4 shows. Then I talked about others I didn't own, including the reboot toy watches. For this video, I'm just going to be talking about a few watches I found at multiple flea markets over the course of several months. Yes, I've had this video planned for some time. I just wanted to see how many watches I could find in the wild without buying them online. So let's get started. Let's start the video off with this thing. It may look like the Alien Force projector watch, but it's not an official one. It's a bootleg. I was baffled when I found this thing. I almost didn't want to get it, but I thought, hey, easy content. Let's begin with the strap. It's supposed to be black in the middle, not gray, and it just looks like the paint job is unfinished. This strap was a dead giveaway, this watch wasn't official. The body of the watch is incredibly light and made of really cheap plastic. The emblem doesn't pop up, you can't turn the dial, and none of the buttons are clickable except this one, which turns the light on. It was dead when I found it, so I put some new batteries in. Surprisingly, it came with 2 discs. Let's see what's on them. Okay, feedback from Omniverse. I think that's Kickin' Hawk? That's blocks? Okay, these are just Omniverse characters. What about the other disc? It's also just Omniverse stuff. The manufacturers didn't even attempt to make this believable. Maybe the person who tossed this in the flea market was some parent who bought it for their kid, and the kid realized it wasn't the real deal. So, instead of throwing it in the trash, the parent thought they could make some of their money back. Actually, that sounds a bit far-fetched. I'm sure a 9-year-old wouldn't care if it were fake, as long as it looked like a Ben 10 watch. Where the hell would you even buy something like this? China? Oh my god, that's insane! How is this even allowed? Licensing deal? I doubt it. This may not be an official Ben 10 Alien Force toy, but you know what is? This guy. This is a Chromostone figure from the DNA Alien Heroes toy line. I mentioned these figures in an older video. Each figure in this toy line had some sort of gimmick, and Chromostone's was that he could shoot a plastic crystal arrow and had some liquid in his body that you could shake around. Try me! Turn package upside down! I was surprised to actually see that liquid swirl around in his abdomen. I honestly thought it would have dried up by now. His head is also discolored. It's a bit of a dull yellow instead of purple. Poor guy. Kind of sad to see a figure in bad shape when it hasn't even been taken out of its packaging. This next one isn't really in the spirit of the video. It's the Revolution Ultimatrix. I bought it off eBay. I didn't want to do that, but I couldn't find any Ultimatrix toys out in the wild, and I wanted to talk about at least one Ultimatrix. This toy is essentially a Beyblade launcher, and here's the Beyblade. A green plastic top you can put little alien figures on. All that came with the purchase were Ultimate Big Chill and Cannonbolt. Opening the watch's emblem reveals the mechanism inside. There's a little plate you have to flip over, and the watch even has legs underneath to tilt it, ensuring the top slides off properly. It's a silly gimmick, but it's not that bad. I like that the watch's design didn't suffer as a result. In fact, I'd say it looks even closer to the original Ultimatrix compared to my other one. You can't turn the dial or push the watch down though, so I guess there's that. Overall, this is an okay watch. Up next is the Omnitrix Challenge. The gimmick here is you drop 3 of these little figures into the base of the watch, randomize them by turning this knob a few times, then push this button at the top to launch one of the figures. It's just a glorified rock, paper, scissors clone. There's some stats system to determine which figure wins, but I don't really remember how it worked, nor do I have the little sheet of paper that has all the stats. The main problem is you needed a friend who also had an Omnitrix challenge to even play the game. I highly doubt there were ever two kids in close proximity to each other that both had this watch. Let's take a closer look at these figures. The ones that came with the watch I found include Accelerate, NRG, Armadillo, Terra Spin, Water Hazard, Heat Blast, Lodestar, and Cannonbolt. They kind of look like they're on skateboards. I'm surely missing a few of these, but I don't really care. I'm honestly surprised this thing had any figures to begin with. Anyway, let's see this thing in action. Okay, so you put the figures in, spin this knob, then... What the hell? Do the thing! Okay, I guess this thing's prone to jamming then? What a glaring issue. These little prongs in the watch are what launch the figure, but the compartment has to be perfectly aligned, otherwise the prongs won't reach through. There is some resistance to the knob to keep them aligned, but it doesn't always work. It's whatever, let's just launch one properly. That's pretty pathetic. Yeah, this is lame. The gimmick is dumb, and it isn't even a cool watch to wear. The top doesn't open up like it does in the show, something other watches already did, and the emblem is nowhere to be seen. This is definitely one of the worst watches they've released for Omniverse. Let's move on. Up next is the standard watch from Season 1 of the Ben 10 reboot. It's as basic as it gets. You can turn the dial and see the alien silhouettes in this little window, and you can push the base down. It takes batteries, which I don't want to put in because all it does is light up the window and play some dialogue when selecting an alien. It's not really worth presenting. The button that usually pops the watch out isn't a real button, so the cylinder always stays up. They also put this plastic screen on the top, which is kind of weird. It's probably because the emblem doesn't pop up and stays at the bottom of the watch. There are some weird design choices here, but it's whatever. The classic watch is obviously still better. This is the deluxe version of the Season 1 reboot watch. It's incredibly bulky. The button here actually has a purpose, as it allows the watch to pop up. To my knowledge, this is the only Ben 10 watch that actually attempts to emulate how the emblem changed shape in the show. It doesn't really do it well though. It goes from an hourglass to a hexagon. Guess it was too hard to figure out how to go from an hourglass to a rhombus. The emblem is also pretty small relative to the dial. It's just a little awkward since it's larger in the show. For some reason they have the alien silhouettes in this sort of fisheye lens. It's weird. There's also this green button. After selecting an alien, pressing it will play some dialogue, and there are multiple lines per alien.
I don't think you've been introduced to Cannonbolt. I will crush you. Upgrade.
Baba Booey.
Oh my god. Cannonbolt, coming through.
They packed a lot of stuff into this thing. Overall though, it's still kind of lame. I guess it's better than the standard one, but I'd still stick with the original classic watch. This is a reboot projector watch in the style of Season 2's redesign. Pushing this button turns the light on, I'll put batteries in it later, and turning the dial changes what'll be projected. Of course, you need discs for it, something this watch did not come with. That's why I was so surprised the bootleg projector watch and the Omnitrix challenge came with their little accessories. Usually the seller loses these things before tossing the toy in their stall. Sadly, the bootleg discs don't work as substitutes because they don't fit. But don't worry, I made my own. Wow. Cool. Amazing. Whoa. Wow. Cool. Amazing. Whoa. Up next is the Season 3 reboot watch. It's exactly like the Season 1 standard watch. Turn the dial to look at the aliens, push it down to select one, and that's it. It also lights up and stuff, but I don't care to put batteries in it. I honestly think this is worse than the Season 1 watch. It's just a crappy redesign. There's also this... What the... Those are bite marks! I didn't even notice those were there before. I spent $9 on a Ben 10 watch some little kid chewed up. The guy selling this clearly had no shame. Let's move on. This next one is kind of neat. I actually found it in box. Still had the price tag on it too. $20. Pretty expensive, I'd say. Anyway, when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be like the classic deluxe watch with the LCD display. But it's not. It's an actual watch. You know, one that tells time. The back of the box gives us an idea of how the screen looks. Every hour it makes a noise, which I'll assume is just a line of dialogue from the corresponding character. I guess the watch would blurt out, "It's hero time" at 12. The Try Me functionality doesn't work. The included batteries are flat. You see, I would put new batteries in it and test it out, but I kind of don't want to open it. I don't want to ruin the packaging, even if it is a crappy toy from a show I'm not into. Up next is this behemoth. I legitimately don't know what this is. I found it a while ago, but I've restrained myself from opening what's clearly a thing with several compartments. If I shake it, rattling can be heard. Clearly, there are some loose parts in it. I want to say it's a miniature alien creation chamber like the one I talked about in a previous video, and maybe the loose pieces inside are the alien body parts. Well, let's see if I'm right. What? Okay, I just dumped out the contents, and this is what we have. I may be missing some stuff, I don't know. We have a tiny Ben figure and this purple bunny alien guy. Surprisingly, they're articulated. There's also this blaster and ammunition for it. Okay, that's everything opened. This is no alien creation chamber. It's like an alien battle lab or something. The figures have little holes in their feet, which allow them to be placed on these stands up here. The spurs that stuck out of the watch actually spin them. It's really dumb. What's the point of this? There's also this part, which I guess is a slide? On the left arm of the main chamber, we have these yellow and red tanks you can put the figures in, but they don't go in all the way. Their heads stick out. I guess it's to easily remove them, but I don't know. It's weird. The right arm has a blue tank. There's a little switch that activates a trapdoor under the tank. So, if you drop a figure in there, they fall out of the watch. The main chamber has a purple tank in the center. This red button pushes the base of the tank up. Putting a figure in there will launch it upwards. I really don't understand it. What's the point of... Wait a minute. Maybe it's like a dunking game. If you're lucky, you could probably land these figures into the other tanks after launching them. Let's try that. We also have this little base that slides out. It's just a spot for the gun. What's left are these compartments on the cuffs of the watch. I don't really know what these are for. Maybe they're where you're supposed to put the figures, but they don't really fit. Especially the purple bunny guy. What's most baffling about this thing is that it's meant to be worn. There's a strap attached, so it's technically a wearable Ben 10 watch. Funny enough, it's not even the tallest watch here. The deluxe reboot one is surprisingly taller. Overall, this is by far the strangest gimmick I've seen in a Ben 10 watch. I honestly don't like it. It's just really weird. Unfortunately, those are all the watches I was able to find. I could have just gone on some site like eBay and bought some more, like I did for the Revolution Ultimatrix, but I'm not really a fan of that. It feels better to stumble upon them in person. Not only that, these watches were incredibly cheap compared to what's online. I was worried I wouldn't have enough watches to review, so I had something else planned. Don't know how long the video will be up to this point, but I may as well talk about these things now. I don't think I ever will otherwise. Why am I talking about Generator Rex now? Well, aside from the fact that I found these figures in one of the flea markets I checked out for $1 each, Generator Rex was created by the same people who made Ben 10, Man of Action. Oh, and the two franchises have crossed over like 3 times. I barely remember watching the show as a kid. Once I got older, I retained my memories of Ben 10, but Generator Rex just slowly sank into the depths of my brain. If I ever heard the show's name or saw it referenced on the internet somewhere, my mind would only think, other show Ben 10 people made, and goth chick with large mouth. Sometimes I'll suddenly have the urge to rewatch old shows from my childhood, and about a year ago, I decided to rewatch the entirety of Generator Rex. I say rewatch, but I should really be saying watch for the first time again, because when watching the show, only the first 3 episodes were familiar. Hell, I could have sworn Cersei, the goth chick with the large mouth, was introduced later in the show's run, but it turns out she was introduced in the 3rd episode. So yeah, I guess I never watched much of the show as a kid. I would have remembered much more otherwise. Here is a figure of Rex Salazar, the protagonist. In the show, some experiment caused these little micro-machines known as nanites to infect almost every living thing in the world. Rex was one of the few who could actually control his nanites and use them for good. This particular figure depicts Rex with his iconic giant robot hands, which he creates with his nanites, of course. That's not the only weapon in his arsenal though. He could also generate giant robot legs, a sword, and other stuff I don't have corresponding figures for. So yeah, I only have 3 figures of Rex specifically. Here's one of Agent 6, who essentially acts as Rex's handler in the show. His name is 6 because he's the 6th most dangerous person in the world. The figure depicts him with his 2 katana-like blades. I like how China is just smacked on each sword. Guess they really needed us to know the swords were also made there, just like the figure it's attached to. Here's a figure of Van Kleis, the main antagonist for a decent bit of the show. He needs nanites to survive, and with that gauntlet of his, he essentially sucks nanites out of whatever he gets a hold of. He's kind of your textbook villain. Finally, we have one of Van Kleis' henchmen, Biowolf. Oh, I'm sorry, Combat Claws Biowolf. Not sure why his name isn't bigger here. Each of these figures come with an Evo figurine, but they might as well be Monopoly game pieces. They're super tiny and are just a single color. Kind of pathetic if you ask me. They made quite a few other toys for the franchise, but they were mostly just larger Rex figures. It doesn't seem like they made any figures of Dr. Holiday or even Cersei, which I don't really understand. Why not just make figures of the whole cast? Anyway, those were all the Generator Rex figures I have. They're honestly pretty lame, but it's nice to have some memorabilia of an underrated cartoon that isn't just DVDs of the show itself. Let's wrap this up. We went over more Ben 10 watches, as well as some Generator Rex stuff. I get it. The Ben 10 videos are the most popular ones on the channel, but I don't want to be some guy who just... What's happening? What the? Who are you? And what the hell are you doing in my house? It's alright, man, relax. I'm you from the future. Well, an alternate future. Okay, so why are you here? Before I tell you, what am I wearing? A Ben 10 jacket? Yes, exactly. Why do you think I'm wearing it? Because you like Ben 10? Well, yeah, but that's not the main reason. You see, Ben 10 content is extremely profitable in the future, way more than it is now. At one point, I stepped up and started making exclusively Ben 10 videos. I expanded the channel brand too. I've made Ben 10 fan animations, webcomics, and even games on Newgrounds. It's all made me a billionaire. Oh, I see. And you're here to tell me to make more Ben 10 videos. Precisely. You see, I've become rather generous over the years thanks to the influx of cash into my bank account. I just want to share that wealth with you, Drifter Prime. I don't know. I appreciate the sentiment, but... Wait, did you just call me Drifter Prime? Indeed I did. You're not my first encounter on my time-traveling journey. I've actually gone to other future versions of ourselves and changed their lives for the better. You what? How many timelines have you changed? Let's see... 42, I think? There was the one that ended up working for Nintendo. I got him to quit so he could become a full-time Ben 10 content creator. Same with the one that became a professional artist. Quite a wide variety of career choices when you think about it. Would you believe there was even a math teacher version of us? Glad I made him do Ben 10 content instead. Okay, this is crazy. Look man, I get you're just trying to help others out financially, but you can't just change their lives like that. You're right, I can't. It's much too inefficient to hop from timeline to timeline. That's not what I meant, however. That is why I stand before you now, Drifter Prime. You are the source, the origin of all branching timelines. If I make you a Ben 10 exclusive content creator, all branching timelines will cease to exist, leaving only one, ours. I'm here to make you realize your full potential, Drifter Prime, to become the Ben 10 content creator you were destined to be. Sorry, not interested. Hahaha, you're funny. Ugh. Ouch. You have two options. Either you take my offer, or I replace you in this time and make Ben 10 content in your stead. So, what'll it be? I said I'm not interested. Well then, suit yourself. I said I'm not interested! This looks like a job for Humongousaur! You shot me. Don't be such a baby. Of course I shot you. Well, if this is where it ends, just know this, Drifter Prime. If you ever want to make it big on this website, you have to milk anything that's popular, especially the stuff children are into. Just look how successful all those losers making Minecraft videos are. Why do you think MatPat made so many Five Nights at Freddy's Theory videos? Children are the reason for these things. It's why our Ben 10 videos did so well. Children whose parents let them roam the internet unsupervised. Children who stay obsessed with trends for years after their peaks. Children who... Alright, I get it. Kids are easily exploited. Move on. In the end, the desire to preserve one's dignity is temporary, but the need for money is forever. Don't forget that. What the?